The Dental Brief is brought to you by Omni Premier Marketing and the amazing guests who bring wisdom and advice that you can put to use to take your business and practices to the next level. Find us on Facebook and join the conversation. Get ready to grow because we are kicking off the next episode in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Brief. I'm back with a returning guest. Excited to get today's show going. William Ledbetter, say hello.
Hello.
Yeah. William, you also go by Russ, right?
Yes, my parents named me William Russell Ledbetter, but they always call me Russ. So here we are.
Yep. So glad to have you back on the program. You're with Dental Consulting Experts. The website's dentalconsultingexperts.com. William, give us just a quick rundown. How long you've been involved in dentistry? How'd you get involved?
Well, it actually was a family business. When I came out of college in 1989, my family was already doing this, and I had no idea that I would be doing it. I just saw what they were doing. It was fascinating. They were consulting very specifically dentists only at the time, and within about 3 months, I was starting to get trained how to do it, and for 35 years, it's all I've ever done.
Yeah, countless practices, 35 years. A lot of experience, a lot of changes over that period of time, I have to imagine, right?
Oh, yes. Dentistry has gone through a lot of changes.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw a wrench at you today. Normally we talk about like, hey, what's kind of going on today? What are you seeing today? But instead, what I want to ask you is over your 35 years of experience working with practices, what is something that's been a consistent problem, a consistent thorn, something that's been negatively affecting practices since you've been working with practices? And then we're going to talk about how to help them come over those.
Okay, well, that one's probably pretty easy. I would say broken appointments.
Missed appointments, yeah.
No shows and last minute, hour, 2 hours before the appointment called, cancel.
Yeah, and that can be devastating to a practice, right? I mean, people normally only talk about the financial problems. You got a team sitting around twiddling their thumbs, right? When you were booked out or you thought that you were, or you had somebody that wanted that appointment that didn't take it. So there's loss of opportunity, right? A new patient could have taken a spot or what have you. There's also a little bit of a hit to morale too, isn't there?
Right. People do get, depressed or sad when the patient doesn't show up and they don't have anything to do. They're there ready to go. They're looking forward to see the patient. And when they don't show up, they're disappointed for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can kind of maybe even mad, right? Right. Ticked off that they didn't show up. Maybe you had something you wanted to do or you gave up something. I mean, how many times has that happened where, that last appointment of the day didn't show up and you turned down going to the Knicks game that night to meet with that appointment. So let's talk about some ways that this can be solved. So start putting them out there. Let us know, how can we fix these problems?
Okay, well, the vast majority of broken appointments happen in hygiene, not necessarily on the doctor's book with dentistry. And the reason for that is the appointment was set 6 months ago at your last cleaning appointment.
Right.
So a lot changes in 6 months, and it may no longer be, convenient for the patient to do that time, or they may forget about it. And even with all the reminders and stuff, people still tend to forget. So on the doctor's side, they only set the appointment a week or two in advance, maybe more, but they tend to show up for those. So it's mainly hygiene, and it can be quite costly. Like the average practice I work with might have 40 to 70 broken appointments a month. And that's if you have 2 or 3 hygienists. If you only had one hygienist, it's not going to be that high. I have a double doctor practice right now with 6 hygienists, and they had 140 something broken appointments last month.
Wow.
So if you took $200 per appointment times 70, that's $14,000 of lost revenue. So
a month.
Yeah, per month. Yeah. Like 150,000, 160,000 per year, a lot of money. So, and the nice thing about that revenue is your hygienist is there whether the patient comes or not. So you're not saving any on their salary.
Right.
And there really aren't a whole lot of other expenses involved in hygiene appointments. So that's like literally almost pure profit. So it's important.
Right.
So first, you got to start from the foundation. Your hygienist should be educating your patients as they're setting up the appointment in the importance of getting your teeth cleaned routinely.
Sure.
So what we found is that dentistry is easier, cheaper, less time consuming, and less painful to fix the sooner you find it. So if you miss your hygiene appointment and go another 6 months, and then when you come in, what could have been a filling might now turn into a much more expensive crown. It might even turn into an expensive root canal and a crown. So you might have had a two-surface filling for $175. Now you're talking about a root canal and crown, $2,000, $2,200, $2,500, depending on it can get way higher than that in the bigger cities as well.
Right.
So the hygienist needs to communicate to the patient while they're setting up the appointment, the importance of keeping the appointment. And, just personally, I go every 6 months to the dentist, and I actually look forward to it. I enjoy it. I love the way my teeth feel when I leave, because no matter how well you brush, there's going to be some things building up.
Right.
And if you just never go to the dentist, it will build up, build up, build up, and it'll get to where it'll be pretty expensive to actually remove. You'll get into periodontal issues.
Right.
So that's where I would start. The other thing is, when a patient cancels, you got to be very clear about your policy. So tell them that you need at least 24 hours or more notice if they need to change the appointment. And then if they do it to you anyway, then, you got to have some kind of a consequence. Like, I was actually in a practice and the front desk answered the phone and someone was calling an hour before their appointment saying they needed to change it. And she was sugary sweet, real nice and friendly, said, "Oh, no problem. We'll set you up next week sometime." And then the guy apologized and she said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It happens all the time." Right. So that's the opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah, you're almost training them to cancel, right? Training them.
Exactly. You're perpetuating the behavior. Now that patient thinks, "Oh, it's easy to get an appointment and they don't care if I cancel." And so you're training them to do it more. Right. So you want there to be some kind of a consequence. Right. So the first thing that should happen is the hygienist whose patient doesn't show up within about 5 minutes should get on the phone with them and call. Right. And it's the same thing you say whether you get their voicemail or in person. You just say, "Hi, this is Katie, your hygienist. We're expecting you at 10 a.m. and you weren't here, so we're concerned about you." So you might leave that message. That's a way to put a light guilt trip on them. Plus, you want them to know that they were missed. The last thing you want is to get no call whatsoever, and then the patient thinks, "Oh, they didn't even miss me. Oh, they're real busy. They were probably glad I didn't come because they got a break." That's the last thing you want them to think.
Right. Or they feel guilty for not showing up, right? And
exactly.
Factors and snowballs, and then they never want to come back again. I think that can happen too. Yeah.
And it's got to be the hygienist, because, if my hygienist called me, if I missed the appointment, it'd make a bigger impact than if someone at the dental front office called me. No offense to the ladies at the front, but I would react more strongly if Sarah, my hygienist, called me.
Sure.
But then you have to have a policy, and you have to figure out for yourself. I have some people that don't have a lot of tolerance, and they have a one strike and you're out policy. So if you miss a hygiene appointment, if you don't show up or call within a few hours of the appointment, you don't get another appointment. Yeah. To me, that's a little harsh, but I will tell you they have very, very low broken appointments.
Yeah.
If you have a really busy practice with lots of new patients and your hygiene is booked out for months, you can implement a policy like that.
Yeah.
Most people want to give them a warning and then say, we have a policy where if you miss 2 appointments, we'll no longer be able to reserve or schedule or set aside time for you. And all that means is that one of 2 things. The harsh thing is you send them a dismissal letter and kick them out of the practice, but most people don't want to do that. The other thing is you just put them on a list and you don't call them to set up an appointment, but you use that list to, if someone does call an hour before the appointment to cancel, you call that list of people and say, "Hey, we have an opening. You can be here in an hour." If they say yes, great. If they say no, keep calling.
Right.
So those kind of things, you have to tell the patient the policy, and then if they miss the appointments, you have to enforce the policy. Because if there's no consequence, there's no incentive for them to stop doing it.
Right. Yeah, I know someone that has on their, or I should say someone who recommends that on the second broken appointment, for any patient that it basically says, you just flat out say, hey, we're 6 months out. So our next available appointment, we're recording this in the end of February. Our next available appointment is July 7th or 8th. Which one works better for you? And then when the person says, well, I need to get in sooner, they say, well, let's put you down for that appointment. And then we'll put you on our cancellation list when we have an opening. We'll give you a call. And I think that's a good way to do it. Even if you want to call them, back in 2 hours and go, hey, guess what? We have an opening on Thursday. I think that's fine, right? Or Friday or Saturday or Monday, whatever the day is. But I like that approach too. What do you think about that? You like it?
No, yes, I do coach my clients on that exact thing. You never want to set them up the following week or something I don't care if you have an opening. If you're open next week, you tell them that your next opening is 4, 5, 6 months out.
Right.
Because they'll think twice the next time.
Yeah.
And yes, you can call them and say, we have an opening if one becomes available. And sometimes they'll be able to, sometimes they won't.
Right.
And that's all fine. But, I had a client in Iowa that was booked out a year. So if you missed your appointment, you couldn't get another appointment for a year. Yeah. And he had extremely low broken appointment rates. So it is about supply and demand. If something is in too plentiful supply and too easy, it's not respected, it's not valued, and they'll behave accordingly. If it's in short supply, they will value it and they'll think twice. They'll go, oh, last time they were going to put me 6 months out. This time maybe I'll move that other appointment and I'll come to the dentist.
Right. Talking about the amount of money, if you're talking about, in a practice, if you're 100,000, if missed appointments are costing you $100,000, right? We're talking $1 million every 10 years. If you practice for 20 years, you're talking a couple of million. If you invest that money, you're probably talking $3 to $4 million in someone's career of losses for missing out on this revenue. It's nuts when you think about it that way. I mean, the trajectory that you can get yourself on with missed appointments is just kind of horrifying when you think about it.
And it's actually worse than that, because let's say you have 70 people don't come to their hygiene appointment. Well, you do have the 14,000 in revenue if it's 200 an appointment, but you have 70 people, some of which would have needed dentistry. So it's way more than 14,000. I'd say you could safely double it as to what you're missing. Yeah. So the numbers get even worse.
Crazy. Russ, if someone, again, the website is dentalconsultingexperts.com. Somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it? Go to the website, go to the contact page. What's the best way to talk to you about your...
Yes, our website has my email address and my phone number on it, so that's how they could contact us. There's also a way to submit a question to us by email, and I can answer any questions someone might have about their practices and get back to them through email. So whatever they prefer.
Yeah. Lastly, I saw that you went to the University of Alabama. What did you think when Nick Saban retired this year?
Oh, it was devastating. I knew it was coming, but I actually didn't expect it this year. Right. I mean, I just thought he had another couple of years left in him, but, I think we got a really good coach, but there's only one Nick Saban. Yeah. Yep. So us Alabama fans are going to have to temper our expectations from here on out, because he gave us a ride like none other. Yeah.
I think that program's probably in pretty good hands. I'm not an Alabama fan by any means, but I think they're probably going to...
Who's your team?
I don't really have one,
Are you a college football fan, just in general?
Yeah, I'm in general watching good games. So my wife's an Aggie, so obviously Texas A&M is up there. I lived in Seattle for quite a while, so UW is our University of Washington's team that was fun to watch go on a run this year until that finals game, of course. But yeah, Texas A&M I think is the team I probably watched the most, at least for the first half of the year, and then the last couple of years it's so disappointing that I just kind of move on to whatever the best game is of the week.
Yeah, well, Texas A&M has a new exciting coach, and I'm sure Washington's not happy with us for stealing their coach, who's pretty darn good himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think he is, and he's going to bring recruits too. But hey, I want to circle back. dentalconsultingexperts.com. Russ Ledbetter, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. You have a great day.